welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be making lasagna, but we're going to make it with a healthy twist. So this is going to be an eggplant lasagna, and you won't need very many ingredients for this lasagna, thankfully. This is the first time I've used this vegan cheese, but it is by far the best vegan cheese I've ever used. I'm just going to use that to sprinkle on top of it. You can use any tomato sauce you have, homemade or jarred. I just used this because it's very simple and easy, and we always have some on hand. And then really big eggplants, so I used 2 of these because these are really large, as you can see. And then whatever lasagna noodles you want to use, just use those. I used the pre-cooked, or I don't know how they're termed, but basically you don't have to boil them. They're just ready to go, and then you can just put them into your pan. So you're just going to cut up your eggplant as thin as you possibly can. I didn't do a very good job at cutting it as thin as I could, but it still worked out great and tasted fantastic, so whatever. Just do your best. I think part of my reason was my cutting board kept moving on me. I guess I should have put a cloth or something underneath it. For some reason it kept moving, but whatever, just cut it up and use up all the little bits that you're left with, because you can tuck those in as well and they will just soften up and cook once you add the sauce. So don't discard any of the little pieces, you can use those as well. So now you're just going to add some tomato sauce to the bottom and then start your layering process. I'm using this tomato sauce because it's really hard to find store-bought tomato sauce that isn't loaded with a bunch of oil and other funky ingredients. So when I find ones that are just plain, even if they're not the best tasting, it's still handy to have on hand, and then I add my own seasonings. This one's actually pretty good and I get it at Costco, and it's organic as well. So now I'm just adding the eggplant layers. So again, you're going to throw in more tomato sauce on top of that. And then you were watching me put in and tuck in those tiny little pieces that I was talking about that I was left over with. I just tuck them in to wherever I feel like it needs a little bit extra eggplant. And then now that I have the sauce, I'm just going to go ahead and layer the noodles. Same thing with the noodles. Sometimes they break pretty easily, so all those little bits I will just tuck in wherever I think it needs it. So as far as the actual lasagna noodles go, use whatever you have on hand, whatever's easy for you to find. I try to find like a whole wheat option, or like this one is a blend. This is all that I could find that was basically like the easy lasagna noodles as well, that I didn't have to boil up. I don't like lasagnas that are really mushy, and I find that when you boil the noodles, and even when you try not to boil them very much, it still has like this weird mushy texture. So I prefer these ones that are already like ready to go, and I guess like partially cooked. So this was the only company that I could find that was partially cooked and also had the ingredients that I was looking for. Like this one is a quinoa and corn blend. There's brown rice in it. It's kind of a funky blend. Normally though, I find just brown rice lasagna noodles, and those work really well as well. So again, whatever you have on hand, it will work. So yeah, on top of those lasagna noodles, I added more of the eggplant and then now more sauce. So you're just going to keep layering. And then it is optional, and if you want to, you can add some of the vegan cheese on top. I don't actually like these faux cheeses, to be honest. I'd prefer to make my own cheese, if anything. Like when I do my mac and cheese, I do my own. I don't like using the faux cheese in it at all. But because I was making this for my parents too, and I wanted it to look more like a traditional lasagna, I decided to add the faux cheese on top, and it actually does taste really good. This company, I have to admit. But you do whatever you want to do. If you want to add it in, go ahead, and if you don't, then skip it. It will still be fine. So I kept layering until I was absolutely at the top of my pan. It will kind of cook down a bit, so keep that in mind. Even though you feel like you're overfilling your pan, you're not really. It will be perfect once everything cooks down, because that eggplant will start shrinking and it will not be overflowing, trust me. If you're worried about it, sauce coming out or whatever on your pan, just line it with parchment and it will be fine. Here comes the optional part. You could cover it with foil paper and put it in the oven right now, or you can add a little bit of the vegan cheese on top. So this is what it looks like once you're done assembling. Super easy. You can whip up this lasagna really quickly. You can make it for a big crowd and it's not expensive. So I ended up using just a jar and a half of that tomato sauce. I didn't even go through both of the jars. It's a really big lasagna and only 2 eggplants and 1 little box of lasagna noodles. And again, the vegan cheese is optional. So this is actually a really cheap meal and it will feed a lot of people. And it turned out fantastic. So I highly recommend you trying the recipe if you're an eggplant fan. This is a great alternative to those faux veggie meats that people do lasagnas with. Yes, they taste good, but this is a healthier alternative and you're using whole foods. So I will place the complete recipe in the description box below for you guys if you want to try it out. And if you do, please take a picture and show me on Instagram. It's usually where I am. Or find me across social media and tag me. That way I can see your creation. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any upcoming videos.